The night sky was filled with a blanket of stars, twinkling like tiny diamonds scattered across the heavens. Each one seemed so far away, so unreachable, yet Maya often found herself lost in them, captivated by their beauty. As an astronomer, she had spent countless nights gazing up into the vast blackness, charting constellations and measuring the movements of planets. The sky had become her sanctuary, a place where she felt connected to something far greater than herself. But tonight, something was different. Maya could feel it in the air, a subtle shift, an energy she couldn't quite explain. Her skin prickled with anticipation, and her heart beat a little faster, as if sensing something was about to happen. She paused, standing on the rooftop of her observatory, the cool night air brushing against her face. The stars twinkled overhead, but there was something lurking just beyond her line of sight. Suddenly, a flash streaked across her radar, a signal interrupting the otherwise silent night. Her pulse quickened. This wasn't a meteor or a satellite. No, this was something far more mysterious. Maya's hands trembled as she adjusted her telescope, scanning the skies for any sign of what had caused the anomaly. She squinted, peering into the lens, and that's when she saw it hovering just beyond the clouds. It wasn't anything man-made. Its metallic surface shimmered in shades of silver and blue, unlike anything she had ever seen. Her breath caught in her throat as the object began to descend, slowly, gracefully, as if it had noticed her watching. Her curiosity flared, and without a second thought, she rushed outside, eager to see what the universe had delivered to her doorstep. Maya's heart pounded in her chest as she approached the meadow behind the observatory. The grass was damp beneath her feet, and the cool breeze whispered through the trees. But her attention was focused entirely on the ship that had landed just ahead. It sat there, silent, as if waiting for her. As she moved closer, a faint hum filled the air, growing louder with each step. Then, without warning, a door slid open, and a soft light spilled out, casting long shadows across the field. Maya froze, her breath hitching in her throat. From the shadows, a figure emerged, tall, slender, and undeniably otherworldly. His skin glowed softly, like the moonlight itself, and his eyes, deep and radiant, seemed to pierce through the darkness, locking onto hers. The figure stepped forward, but it wasn't his movement that startled her. It was his voice, though she quickly realized it wasn't a voice in the traditional sense. He spoke directly into her mind, his words forming as if carried on a gentle breeze. "I am Zephyr," he said, the name rolling through her thoughts like a whisper of wind. "I come from a world far beyond your own, but I mean no harm. I am here in peace." Maya's legs felt like they might give out beneath her. An alien? Here? It seemed impossible, and yet here he was, standing before her, his presence radiating calm, despite the sheer strangeness of the situation. Despite the shock, there was something oddly reassuring about Zephyr. His eyes, though otherworldly, held a softness to them, a kindness that put her somewhat at ease. Her heart still raced, but her fear began to melt away. "I'm Maya," she managed to say, her voice trembling. "Why are you here?" Zephyr smiled, a gesture that seemed almost human. "To learn," he said, "to understand. My mission is one of exploration. We seek to connect with other worlds, to share knowledge and to find understanding." As he spoke, Maya felt something stir within her, a connection, like a thread of energy that hummed between them. It was faint, barely noticeable, but it was there. She didn't understand it, couldn't explain it, but in that moment, she knew that this meeting was meant to be. Over the next few days, Maya and Zephyr spent more and more time together. She had always been a curious person, her love for astronomy born out of a desire to understand the universe and her place within it. But now, that curiosity had turned toward Zephyr. He fascinated her in ways she hadn't anticipated. During the day, she showed him the beauty of Earth, vast oceans that stretched into the horizon, dense forests that teemed with life, and starlit skies that filled her with wonder. She had always appreciated the beauty of her planet, but now, seeing it through Zephyr's eyes, it felt new again, like she was rediscovering it all for the first time. Zephyr, in return, shared stories of his home, a planet so far away that Maya could barely comprehend the distance. He told her about how his people communicated not through words, but through emotions and energy, a kind of connection that transcended speech. They could feel each other's thoughts, each other's feelings, in a way that was more intimate than any language could express. Maya found herself drawn to him in ways she couldn't explain. There was a calmness to him, a sense of peace that soothed her in a way she had never experienced before. When they were together, she felt understood in a way she hadn't with anyone else. He didn't need to speak for her to know what he was feeling, and she didn't need to explain herself for him to understand. Their connection grew deeper with each passing day, and Maya couldn't deny the feelings that were blossoming inside her. She had never believed in love at first sight, but this felt like something even more profound. It wasn't just love, it was a bond, something that went beyond the physical, something that reached into the very core of her being. One evening, under a canopy of stars, Zephyr told her about his people's unique way of expressing love. "On my world," he said, his voice soft and full of emotion, "we bond our energies. It's a merging of our very essences, a connection that transcends the physical. It's not something that can be explained in words, it must be felt." Maya's heart raced as she listened to him. The idea was both beautiful and terrifying. She had never experienced anything like that before, but she trusted Zephyr in a way she hadn't trusted anyone else. There was something about him that made her feel safe, like she could give herself over to this connection without fear. "I want to try," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Zephyr's eyes glowed with warmth as he reached out to her. As their hands touched, Maya felt a rush of energy flow through her, a warmth that spread from her fingertips to her heart. It was unlike anything she had ever experienced, a sensation of complete understanding, of love that went beyond touch or words. Their souls seemed to dance together, intertwining in a way that filled her with warmth and peace. It was as if they were one, their energies merging into something greater than the sum of their parts. In that moment, Maya knew that she had found something rare, something precious. This wasn't just love, it was a bond that transcended time and space, a connection that would last forever. But as their connection deepened, so did the realization that their time together was limited. Zephyr's mission on Earth was nearing its end, and he would soon have to return to his planet. The thought of him leaving filled Maya with a deep sadness, a heaviness in her chest that she couldn't shake. She had grown to care for him in ways she couldn't put into words. It wasn't just the love she felt for him, it was the bond they shared, the way their souls seemed to be intertwined. The thought of losing that, of losing him, was unbearable. One night, as they sat by the lake, watching the stars reflect on the water, Zephyr broke the silence. "I must leave soon, Maya," he said, his voice filled with both love and sorrow. "My people need me. But this bond we share, it's eternal. No matter how far apart we are, we will always be connected." Maya blinked away the tears that threatened to spill from her eyes. She didn't want to cry, didn't want to let him see how much this was hurting her, but she couldn't help it. "Will I ever see you again?" she asked, her voice trembling with emotion. Zephyr reached out and took her hand, his energy flowing into her, creating a final bond, one that was even stronger than before. "Yes," he said, his voice full of certainty. "We will find each other again, no matter where in the universe we are. Our souls are linked, Maya. This isn't the end, it's just the beginning." The day finally came when Zephyr had to depart. Maya stood in the field, her heart heavy as she watched his ship rise into the sky, glowing faintly against the twilight. Her chest ached with the weight of their parting, but as she placed her hand over her heart, she could still feel the warmth of their bond. It pulsed within her, a reminder that love transcended all distance, time, and even the stars. She knew, deep in her soul, that this wasn't the end, it was